Played really well. I thought our guys were really brave. They turned up. We didn't get things right today, and that's a little bit disappointing. But in order to be in this game, we needed to sort of hit the ground running. A few calls went against us, which were disappointing. But that's the way rugby goes, I suppose. And once the momentum builds against you, it's very hard to get back in.
How important is the development of this group, and especially going through these challenges?
Under 20s rugby is about development, and Junior World Cup, our Junior World Championship is an incredible experience for these men. We've had a really tough few weeks, and I think the guys will have grown a lot over it. I know that the team that we picked up last October when we started is a very different team now, and I'm very proud of our boys, the way they behave themselves, the way they work so hard, and they can be very proud of their efforts.
Richie Murphy there, the Ireland under-20s coach. The former Ireland and Munster prop Fiona Hayes watched the final for Virgin Media yesterday. She joins us now. Fiona, how are you?
I'm good, John.
Great to talk to you as always, Fiona. First things first, right? One can analyse the match to the cows come home, and that's fine, but this is a world final these lads were involved in. Whatever they do in their rugby careers, this was a special day.
Oh, it was absolutely massive. I mean, I was so excited watching them, even in the national anthem, singing out there, or singing Ireland's call. They were, it's such a special day, and you could really see the emotion were coming through, and they knew that this tournament was coming to an end, but they are going to wake up today, probably be disappointed for a while. But what an achievement to get that far. This squad were so talented, and we saw what they've done with the adversity that surrounded this squad, and they were able to go out and obviously overpowered by France. But I think maybe they might look back at it, and they probably didn't have their best game, and things went a little bit wrong for them at times, which is fine. But in a final, they'll be disappointed, but they don't understand what they did to get to that far. I mean, some of the games they played, the skill set on show was amazing, John.
Yes, as you touched upon there, Fiona, obviously the tour tinged with sadness following the unexpected passing of Munster coach Greg Oliver, the father of Jack Oliver, who was part of the squad. Just an unbelievably tough time for everybody involved.
Yeah, it's got to be so difficult, and you can park those emotions, and they certainly did that, and we saw how well they done in the Fiji game, and especially coming into these big games, and South Africa, they played out of their skin at times as well. But I think just with that final, there was a lot of emotion around it, and they were looking forward to it coming to end. And these emotions are eventually going to come out, and I think maybe that you could see they were a little bit tired from that, because I can only imagine what they've gone through the 5 weeks together with that heartache surrounding the squad. But they still came out and put on a show at times. Just France were far too powerful, and very, very, you said it there, and Richie Murphy said it's the skill set that they came out with was next to nothing in the second half. I mean, every break and ball just went their way as well.
France just accelerated, it seemed, towards the end of the competition. They got better as other teams maybe found it a bit tougher.
Yeah, look, they're coming off that back of the Six Nations, and they would have been disappointed to lose that Grand Slam to Ireland, but they made a lot of changes in that squad as well. From that game, there was only 7 starters from the previous Irish game, that were on that France team, so they were able to bring in the big powerhouse. And I think the difference in both of those teams, and where France probably had a little bit of an edge as well, a lot of those guys were playing top 14 with their clubs. Even Tuilagi was playing Challenge Cup as well, so they had a lot more games at that high intense level under their belt. And I suppose when that's even though at half time I really felt Ireland were in with it, if they could have come out and got that first score, I think they would have rattled France, but they just kind of seemed to come out so clinical, and the yellow card helped a little bit as well. And that second half they put on a show for everyone, and they were just brilliant in set piece and broken play. I mean, how they transitioned from defence into attack is scary. It was so good.
Yeah, Tuilagi's some unit, isn't he?
Oh my God, I was in the studio, I quitty thinking, I think I'd step out of the way if I saw him coming at me. He's absolutely a unit. But do you know what's impressed me most about him throughout the tournament is that you're looking, I've watched all the French games, that you're looking at him and you're thinking, God, he's just going to run down someone's throat. But he has absolutely pushed on his game to another level, even though he's only 18, 19 years of age. You can see his skill set, his hands. He's that link player to link up between the forwards and the back line, and to be able to do that is such, and running at speed as well. I mean, he's going to be something definitely for the future that we'll see in this French squad going forward.
all of the Irish players are heroes. It's not, and that's not just a trite thing to say. It's reality, because we're in a world final and on a world stage. But who are the standout players for you, Fiona? I suppose if players are going to get into senior level, who's going to be there first in the queue?
Yeah, look, do you know what? Even before I look at that, because they were all outstanding, it's actually funny because the only ever Irish player to win player of the tournament at that under-20 championship was actually Max Duggan in 2016, and you know he was amazing in that tournament, and you're looking now, you know, things change, I suppose, so rapidly, making that progression into senior level. But I was very impressed. I know I'm a Munster woman, but I was very impressed with Brian Gleeson. I thought the back row in general were brilliant. I thought Quinn and McNabney came back in. They might have had a little bit more quiet in the final. I think that the French back row probably got the edge there, but I just thought they were so physical. Their skill set, their link play, everything about it. They were out in the edges, running down the wing. So they're guys that I definitely see with a huge future. We know what Sam Prendergast is about. We've seen him already. There's a huge hype about him. But Mac Erling at fullback, under high ball, I thought in high pressure situations, he got Ireland out of a lot of trouble with his ability to keep alive and to, you know, hold on and wait for his support to come back. And to be honest, John, I know I'm a prop, but the front row in particular, I mean, Paddy McCarthy, to move from tight head over to loose head at the start of the tournament, you know, things didn't go too well in that first game scrum wise for them, but he's just absolutely gotten better and better with each game. I know he got the yellow card yesterday, but his set piece and his ball carry's been immaculate. And Ronan Fox, everyone loves a good tight head, and he steadied up that ship. Even though France would have got that upper hand, I think at line out, Ireland would have been they look back at the line out and be really disappointed, because it wasn't like that for most of the tournament, and just things went wrong. But I thought Gus McCarthy's another guy that stood up as a leader. He's constantly talking to the ref. He has those qualities, but he's also scored a good few tries. He gets himself at the back of them all, and he just has great game awareness. So the front row are another few that I will definitely see. I think we'll see in the future.
What are the attitude of the provinces? Are they conservative about these types of players coming through? Will you see them in the URC, more of them next year?
I think we'll see a lot more next year. I think I'm talking about the top 14 and the guys playing on the French team, but you have to remember how many teams are in the top 14, and even that D2, the second level, is a high level over in France. So these young guys are getting game time at 18, 19, and we don't see it as much, I suppose, in Ireland, because there's only 4 provinces, so the player pool is quite small. But I really feel like we will see a lot of the back row in particular, and maybe the front row will push themselves in. I've said it before, Gus McCarthy is a talent, but I don't know how he's going to fit into that Leinster team with the talent that's ahead of him. So we mightn't see him next year. He might have to make a decision on where he wants to play. But there's definitely Sam Prendergast. I think we'll see a lot of him. Whether we see them in the Champions Cup, I'm not quite sure, but definitely in the URC, John.
France, as a rugby nation, are in a pretty good spot at the moment. They'll be looking to capitalise on this. Look, they've got a home World Cup. It's probably success or failure for them if they win. Like, they'll be disappointed, France, if they don't win their home World Cup this year, as competitive as it will be.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, and it was even scary watching the talent pool. As I said, the changes they made and the changes they made throughout the tournament, they still have the ability to bring on guys that are just as good as the guys starting. And I think the senior team are very similar with that. You know, their bench over the last couple of years is what's really made them, and their ability to defend. You know, Sean Edwards has come in there and tighten things up. So I think the nation, and we know the French media put a lot of pressure on them. I think, especially with La Rochelle winning as well, I think there will be huge pressure on France to win at home. But look, you never know in this World Cup. I watched New Zealand this morning, and they were, you know, for a team that people were saying down and out, they were absolutely outstanding, especially the first 20 minutes. So
right.
It's changed. I think we've had the Six Nations. These guys have gone away. I'm looking at a lot of French, the English, the Irish. They look like they're bulking up. So the first couple of games, I think there'll be a clear runner. Like, I watched these 20s, and to be honest with you, from the start, I thought this French team, there was no one going to stop them. And as you said, John, they got better and better throughout the tournament. Ireland were definitely a team that had the ability because of their game management and how they played, but on the day it didn't go well. But this French team, when they got going, oh my God, were a joy to watch.
The other rugby story this week was the disciplinary hearing that Johnny Sexton was involved in, arising from the Leinster-La Rochelle game, and anything Ireland to be worried about? You think the kind of feeling is there'll be a ban, there might be mitigation, there might be a couple of games for him to miss, but I suppose the scheduling is in his favour.
Yeah, look, you're hoping that if there is games to be missed, it'll be those warm-up games. I mean, look, Ireland will have a plan B. They still don't know what's going on. I think, obviously, it's taken so long. We know they chat about referees in all sports at the minute. You know, they're just not they're trying to cut out that talk. I suppose what people have to take into account, it was a heat of the moment decision, and his record has been so good. You know, I don't think I even remember him maybe getting a yellow card. I could be wrong there over the years. And he's just he's a guy that's fiery, like you want your captain to be, and it was probably just a moment of error. So I hopefully they won't come down too hard on him, but I would imagine that if they gave him a few games, that mitigation and his record would come into it, and hopefully it'd be cut down to maybe 1, 2 or 3.
Well, maybe if you reflect, like he wasn't playing that day, so look, it was a heated atmosphere. Yeah. It was another defeat on a narrow basis for the second year in a row. But yeah, he wasn't playing, was he? So maybe there's a lesson in that. Just in terms of, you said you were watching New Zealand earlier today. Australia beaten by Argentina at home.
Yeah, I actually missed the Australian game. I flew over. I'm in Warsaw at the minute. I'm away for a few days, but I got the New Zealand game. Look, I've been watching Australia, and we saw them they were absolutely walloped by a second string Springbok team last week. Things don't look great. I watched the Super Rugby over. The teams haven't been as strong as they have been over the years, so I think they will be a bit worried. They're after bringing in Eddie Jones, and obviously he's going to have his own vision on what he wants for this team, but is there enough time before a World Cup to be chopping and changing? You know, we saw Quade Cooper. I was excited to see him, maybe a bit more game time under the belt and things will click, but they don't seem to be clicking. It's a very loose style of play, and I'm not sure Eddie Jones likes that style of play.
Is there any rugby in Poland?
Absolutely not. I'm trying to go rugby free for a couple of days. I'm over to watch a concert. Only a short break. I'm back on Monday. Well, back to rugby life.
Enjoyed, Fiona. And New Zealand, you were very impressed. What stood out for you then this morning when you were watching that?
Oh, they're just Richie Moyonga. He's just absolutely a step ahead. I mean, I looked last week with Damien McKenzie at 10, and I thought he had an outstanding game. He didn't even make the bench this week. Their power game, they were so powerful. They're playing that kind of the same system most teams play, with the likes of Ardi Sevilla on that wing. When they're out on the wing, you know, you have those flankers holding the width. We're absolutely clinical in that. And I suppose the thing about the South African wingers, and you know, you'd say the same sometimes about Australia, is they're probably a smaller type of winger, so if you have a big back row running at them, and I thought New Zealand really went after them out wide, and especially, as I said, 17-0 up after 15 minutes, they were just a joy to watch. Everything just flowed for them. It looks like they've got their mojo back.
Fiona Hayes, you're a fountain of knowledge as always. Thanks so much and enjoy the gig.
Thanks, John. See you later.
Fiona Hayes there, live from Poland, and reflecting on the Rugby Under-20 final yesterday. Just to let you know, Marketa Vondrousova won the first set of the Wimbledon ladies final against Anjabur by 6-4. We also have action in the Gaelic sphere today. Ladies football relegation playoffs, Laois 4, Cavan 3 at half time, Waterford 4 points, Tipperary no score. And in the big one in the quarter final, Galway 1-6, Mayo 9 points to their level at Pearse Stadium after 25 minutes. So the Tour de France is ongoing. Just let you know as well, folks, that we'll have plenty of Gaelic games build up to Dublin and Monaghan with Colin Boyle later, and also we'll get the Tailteann Cup analysis. But between 3 and 4 now, we're going to talk about cycling with the former Tour of de France stage winner Dan Martin, promising Grand Tour cyclist Eddie Dunbar, both from Ireland, and the writer Shane Stokes. We're back after the news. Cycling between 3 and 4. Don't go away.
News Talk is on the move, and we've got Volkswagen to thank for it. Our new car partner has provided us with electric vehicles, so we're ready